September 10th, 2025, 12:20 p.m., Orem, Utah. 3,000 people stand under an open sky at Utah Valley University. Charlie Kirk, 31 years old, co-founder of Turning Point USA, is answering a question from the crowd. The question is about gun violence. He never gets the chance to finish. One shot echoes across the courtyard. Kirk grabs his neck. People scream. Security rushes forward. In a single second, the event turned into a crime scene. A political assassination in broad daylight. 12:23 p.m. A police radio crackles. Alpha 34, we have shots fired. Charlie Kirk is down. His security team carries him to a vehicle. He is rushed to Timpanogos Regional Hospital. He is pronounced dead. Within minutes, the shooting dominated national headlines. But here is what nobody in that crowd knew. The alleged shooter was not fleeing the country. He was not hiding underground. He was not a hardened extremist, not a trained operative, not a ghost. He was a 22-year-old electrician's apprentice from a small Utah town. And according to investigators, less than an hour before the attack, he was playing Wordle. Who was Tyler Robinson? How did a quiet electrician's apprentice allegedly end up accused of assassinating one of America's most controversial political figures? And what does the evidence actually show? The prosecution says this case is clear. The defense says key evidence deserves closer scrutiny. And before this case reaches a verdict, one question remains at the center of it all. Why? This is the story prosecutors, investigators, and the courts are still trying to piece together. To understand how we got here, we need to go back. Not to some shadowy organization, not to a terrorist cell. We need to go back to a quiet suburb in southern Utah. Tyler James Robinson was born on April 16, 2003. He grew up in Washington, Utah, in a tightly knit family that belonged to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. His grandmother would later tell investigators she did not know a single Democrat in the family. Childhood photographs show the Robinsons at shooting ranges and military weapons displays. A family steeped in conservative values. Robinson was, by every account, a bright kid. He graduated from Pineview High School in May 2021 with a perfect 4.0 grade point average. He earned a merit scholarship to Utah State University. He filmed a video of himself proudly reading the acceptance letter aloud. He looked like a young man heading somewhere good. Then something shifted. After a single semester, he never went back. He returned to St. George, Utah, where he enrolled in an electrical apprenticeship program at Dixie Technical College. He kept to himself at work. He often walked with his fists balled tight. A former coworker once asked him, "You good, Tyler? Your fists are all clenched up." Robinson replied, "Oh no, I just do that." He lived in a modest apartment in St. George, 240 miles southwest of Utah Valley University. And in those silent years, between dropping out and the morning of September 10th, something inside Tyler Robinson was changing, quietly and completely. Now here is where this story becomes genuinely unsettling. According to charging documents and court testimony, Robinson did not act impulsively. He planned. According to investigators, a family member told police that in the days before September 10th, Robinson mentioned that Charlie Kirk was coming to speak at Utah Valley University. They discussed, the affidavit states, why they didn't like him and the viewpoints he had. The family member also stated Kirk was, in their words, full of hate and spreading hate. And then Robinson made his decision. The morning of September 10th, 2025, he loaded a bolt-action Mauser Model 98 rifle, caliber .30-06. He wrapped it. He drove 3 hours north from St. George to Orem, alone. At approximately 11:51 a.m., surveillance cameras at Utah Valley University captured Robinson walking onto campus. He was wearing a hat, sunglasses, a long-sleeved black shirt, and carrying a backpack. According to court testimony, he made contact with Turning Point USA representatives on campus before the event began. He also had an encounter with a police officer on the grounds. That officer wrote down his license plate number, but nothing more. At noon, Charlie Kirk took the stage in the Fountain Courtyard. Robinson, according to prosecutors, had already identified his position. He climbed onto the roof of a nearby building, approximately 142 yards from where Kirk was standing. He set up what investigators would later call a sniper pad. He waited. At 12:20 p.m., as Kirk was mid-sentence answering a question about gun violence, one bullet left that rooftop. 142 yards, one shot. Charlie Kirk collapsed. Robinson ran back across the roof, dropped to the ground, and walked off campus. Before he fired that shot, he had left a handwritten note under his keyboard at home, addressed to his roommate. It read, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it." This was not spontaneous. This was not rage. This was planned, or at least, that is what prosecutors intend to prove in court. What followed was chaos on multiple levels. At the scene, Kirk's security team rushed him to a vehicle. Ambulances converged. Campus was locked down. 3,000 people scattered in every direction. On social media, the video of the shooting began spreading within minutes. Graphic, unfiltered, watched by millions within hours. Then came the first extraordinary mistake. At 4:21 p.m., FBI Director Kash Patel posted on social media that the suspect was now in custody. People exhaled. The country assumed it was over. 90 minutes later, at 5:59 p.m., Patel posted again. The person in custody had been interrogated and released. He was not the shooter. A man named George Zinn had apparently walked in and falsely confessed, allegedly to disrupt the investigation. The real shooter was still free. President Trump announced Kirk's death at 2:40 p.m. By evening, America's political establishment was in crisis mode. Trump allies were issuing statements, tributes were flooding in, and a very specific question was hanging over everything. Who did this, and why? At 7:55 p.m., the FBI released surveillance photographs. A person of interest, hat, sunglasses, black long-sleeve shirt, running across a rooftop. Somewhere in southern Utah, Tyler Robinson's mother saw that photograph, and she recognized her son. Here is what gets buried beneath the politics. Tyler Robinson did not come from the left. He came from the right. As a high schooler, according to a former classmate who spoke to CNN, Robinson and his family were, in their words, die-hard Trump. He was politically conservative. He supported Trump ahead of the 2020 election. He was, on paper, exactly the demographic Charlie Kirk spent his career mobilizing. So, what changed? According to investigators, Robinson dropped out of university and drifted. He moved in with Lance Twiggs, his roommate, and the person who would become his romantic partner. Twiggs is a trans woman. According to Robinson's mother, who spoke to police, her son became more pro-gay and trans rights-oriented in the years after dropping out. After the 2024 presidential election, according to one person who was close to Robinson at the time, he began expressing concern for the rights of transgender people. He began distancing himself from his family's political views. The shift was not sudden. It was gradual and almost invisible to those around him. Robinson was not affiliated with any political party. He had registered to vote, but never cast a single ballot. He was not a member of any organization. Prosecutors confirmed he was not connected to any identified extremist group. The evidence presented so far suggests he acted entirely alone. And according to charging documents, the message he left his roommate explained his motivation in 12 words. "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." On Discord, he would later write to friends, "It was me at UVU yesterday. I am sorry for all of this. What this case documents, at its core, is this. According to prosecutors, one individual made a decision that cannot be undone. According to investigators, he did not belong to any organized group. He acted, the evidence suggests, entirely alone. And that detail, more than any motive, more than any ideology, is the part of this case that raises the most difficult questions. Questions that no charging document can fully answer. The evening of September 11th, 2025, Robinson's parents convinced him to come to their home in Washington, Utah. His father sat with him, showed him the FBI photograph, asked quietly, "Tyler, is this you?" Robinson acknowledged it was. He told his parents he was thinking about killing himself. He was terrified of being shot by a SWAT team. His father called a family friend, a retired detective and sheriff's deputy. That man called Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby. Arrangements were made. That same evening, Robinson's father and the retired detective drove Tyler Robinson to the sheriff's office. He surrendered without incident. 33 hours after the shot, he was booked into Utah County Jail on September 12th, charged with aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, because according to prosecutors, he had told Twigs to delete their text messages and stay silent if questioned. The state of Utah is seeking the death penalty. From July 6 to July 10, 2026, a 5-day preliminary hearing was held in a courtroom in Provo, Utah. Prosecutors presented surveillance footage of Robinson on the rooftop. DNA evidence linking him to the rifle, the towel, and the engraving tool found at the scene. A recorded video of Twigs describing Robinson's tearful admission that he wishes he hadn't done it. His handwritten note, his text messages. The defense challenged the DNA testing, questioning error rates and analyst methodology. They have offered no alternative theory of who was responsible. On September 1st, 2026, closing arguments will be presented before Judge Tony Graff. He will then decide whether the evidence is sufficient for a full murder trial, one where the state of Utah intends to seek the death penalty against a 23-year-old man. This is not resolved. This story is still being written. Here is what the documented record shows. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was killed. He was 31 years old. He left behind a widow, Erica, and a family that has since sat in a courtroom in Provo, watching surveillance footage of the final moments of his life. According to prosecutors, Tyler Robinson drove 3 hours to a university campus, climbed a rooftop, fired one shot, walked away, and 55 minutes earlier had been playing Wordle. He was not connected to any organized group. He held no membership card. He had no criminal record. As of July 11, 2026, the date of the most recent reporting, Robinson has not yet entered a plea. If Judge Graff finds sufficient evidence to proceed, Robinson will be arraigned and enter pleas at that point. Note for production: verify plea status on publish date. Per CNN, UPI, AP, NPR all confirmed no plea as of July 11, 2026. The evidence will ultimately be tested at trial. The defense has challenged the reliability of DNA testing and the handling of the crime scene. The prosecution says it has overwhelming proof. Judge Tony Graff will determine which case is strong enough to proceed. Until that verdict is delivered, every claim in this case remains part of an active legal process. Charlie Kirk's family is waiting for justice. Tyler Robinson's family is watching their son face the possibility of execution. And 3,000 people who were standing in a courtyard in Utah on a September afternoon are still carrying what they witnessed that day. The legal process will reach its conclusion. Whether that conclusion answers the deeper questions this case has raised, that remains to be seen. Let us know in the comments what you think. And in the meantime, thank you very much for watching.